Blog Talk Radio.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the franchipreneur who owns one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you've ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. We have a great show today. We're meeting with Lee Knowlton, the president and CEO of PIU Management, LLC, the parent company of Pump It Up and BounceU franchise brands, with over 220 locations nationwide. And that's coming up in segment 2 of Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we got a great show.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com. Franchise Interviews. For over 2 years now, Franchise Interviews has been giving you an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship.
Through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising.
And our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisors, franchisees, franchise authors, experts, and attorneys.
And our free franchise newsletter, which is a must-read for anyone looking to buy a franchise.
And don't forget to listen to our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919.
That's 610-905-2919.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the franchipreneur who owns one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you've ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. And today's show is being brought to you by Franchise Times Magazine. Franchise Times is the only publication that targets both franchisors and multi-unit franchisees. How you doing today, Don? Welcome back.
I'm doing great, Marty. How are you this week?
Good. Beautiful weather out, and it's finally the rain has stopped, and we're getting lots of sun here in Pennsylvania. So
good.
Yeah,
enjoying the summer. Yeah,
absolutely. Otherwise everything's going well. Our last show we met with Tom Matson, Don, and he is the CEO of, how do you pronounce it? Is that Aegis Investment Management?
Yes.
Okay, and just 3 interesting concepts for our archives. This was something different for us, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Coming Well, it's always good to be diversified, and I guess they had 3 concepts: Par Masters Golf Training Centers, Links Golf Cafe, and Quantum Business Golf. So they really have the whole thing covered here. They'll train you, teach you to be an expert, and they'll feed you in between.
There you go, and you play golf in between as well, you know. So
and obviously golf is such a major recreational sport, and a lot of people I know play it. It's still probably growing and just so popular now. And but I like the way they diversified the concepts. Tom's a very smart guy. Was a great guest, very experienced, and he's written some books too, I think.
Yeah, very, very knowledgeable. I mean, he even he gave us some interesting statistics, didn't he? That we had to kind of we'll have to go back and I'd like to have him back on the show to talk about some other things as well.
Right.
I mean, because we didn't really get to
just about business
everything.
And franchising in general.
Sure, absolutely. He really knows his stuff. They're opening up a location. Well, not that it's in your backyard, but in the Meadowlands, which it seems like a great location for our Par Masters, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, up in North Jersey, it's so much more populated. I think he mentioned they're going to be part of that major project up in the Meadowlands.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, so I mean, it just seems like a killer location. I talk about location.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with Jersey or the Jersey Turnpike, that part of New Jersey, I mean, it's really land is very limited.
That's where a lot of the major roads come together. The Giants, New York Giants play up there. There's a racetrack. There's a lot up there.
Exactly. There's a lot up in that particular area. So we're going to have to check that out once, the whole thing is built and they're in business. Then they have a lot of people interested in the franchise as well, don't they?
Yeah. I think he said there's just a lot of people who've signed up and are moving forward. So they're going to have a lot of growth in the next year or two.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to have to keep our eye on them, and definitely have Tom come back, So, so we got an interesting show today, don't we?
Yeah, having Lee Knowlton, and I'm familiar with this franchise from having young toddlers and bump it up. And these are very popular. Just anything it seems to do with, with the younger generation, with kids, whether it's education or this type of concept. This is a slam dunk as far as having a birthday party at this type of concept. These, inflatable concepts for the kids. I mean, I've been to a few of them, and they're just so popular. The kids have a great time, the whole party.
Well, even the parents have a great time just watching them. I was mentioning to you, before the show, I've been to one. It was about a month and a half ago, and just watching the kids have such a great time. I mean, really, you almost feel like jumping in those things with the kids, don't you? And just
it's pretty simple too. I mean, parents don't have to do anything. You just sit there and watch. There's really nothing involved, and some of it even the parents can get involved and do some of the things themselves. Right.
No, absolutely. So. I'm looking forward to hearing all about that. It does. It sounds like a fairly simple concept, and I always hate to use the word recession-proof, but maybe recession-resistant. I mean, I think birthday parties. I mean, that's one of the things that you're really not going to try to skimp on too much. You know what I mean? It's I mean, you want to do everything for your kids. So.
Well, our twins turned 5, and that's kind of a landmark birthday, turning 5. So we wanted to do a little something extra. And we held theirs at BounceU.
Must be nice though. You get to do the 2 birthdays on one day.
Right.
I guess there's ups and downs, right?
That's a good point. That their birthdays on the same day. I didn't really think about that, but
that's something. Although you have to invite a lot more people. There's a lot more kids, so it must be a pretty big event, I imagine. So. Yeah, interesting. So.
But Lee's been in franchising a while. He's the president and CEO of the company, so we're all excited about that. And.
Yeah, I was looking at his resume and his background. I mean, it's quite impressive. It was actually too long to even go over, because it would have taken me 10 minutes to cover everything. But, yeah, he's got an incredible background, so I'm looking forward to hearing all about that as well and just the, the opportunity as well. So it should be interesting. So I know we have some interesting things to discuss this week, don't we, with current events and topics and...
Yeah, I found a very good article locally. I don't always find stuff locally. It's through the Asbury Park Press, our local paper here in New Jersey, by David Willis. And it's franchises give would-be business owners a way to go into business for themselves without starting from scratch, taking away the mystery of everything from marketing to suppliers. starts back, looking back over the last 33 years, and you can see that McDonald's has played a major role in Linda Chapman's life. She started working behind the counter at a McDonald's in Howell on Route 9 at age 18, serving up burgers and working the register to pay her way through college. Eventually, she became a manager. Chapman decided to make a move to McDonald's operator 10 years ago, now co-owns 16 locations in Monmouth and Ocean counties with her husband, Harry Chapman, the son of the McDonald's owner who gave her a start. I really love what I was doing, said Chapman. It's hard work, but it's very rewarding. Chapman's experience working at McDonald's over the years gave her the experience to run the operation. She could have opened up her own restaurant or another business, but she chose to become a franchise owner. She's not alone. Franchising can be a successful way of getting into business, says Justin Klein, a Red Bank lawyer who specializes in franchising issues. There are over 20,000 franchise businesses in New Jersey, everything from fast food restaurants to fitness centers, according to the IFA. I think franchising is a phenomenal way for people who otherwise want to get into business but don't have either the wherewithal, the time, the money, or the creative expertise to get into business, Klein said. The number of franchise businesses increased by 5.6% a year between 01 and 05, the IFA states, but the recession has taken a toll. Growth slowed to 2.1% between 07 and 08. The association expects a slight decline in 09. Typically during a recession, franchises tend to outperform other businesses, and we've gone over this in past shows, other articles. IFA spokeswoman Alyssa Harrison said, as people lose their jobs in the middle of their career, they turn to franchises as an option to start over. Like other problems in the economy, the decline is tied to the credit crunch as banks tighten lending standards. We are hearing from an anecdotal standpoint from our members that they are seeing great qualified candidates, Harrison said. The lack of financing is slowing them down.
Wow. It's a great article. You got to love the beginning of it. I mean, after listening to that story, how does that make you feel? I mean, for me, it's inspirational, to hear stories like that. I mean, she'd be a wonderful guest to have on our show, and I think we're going to have to set that up. But, I mean, here she is. Imagine that, just working behind the counter of McDonald's, and I've had students, that I've been teaching over the last 8 years, work for McDonald's and, help pay for their college. And who knows, I mean, that's an incredible story, I think.
Yeah, she had the experience and decided to take the plunge and go at it, probably doing very well. Moving on, says Marty, taking on a franchise isn't cheap. An initial franchise fee can range from $10,000 to $30,000. The average investment, not including real estate, can run $350 to $400, according to the IFA. Larger franchise owners can take advantage of falling real estate prices to expand, but new entrants have trouble getting the loans they need, says Brendan Pearson, a certified public accountant here locally. For a new franchise to come into the business and obtain the financing to do that is a lot tougher, he said. Klein said he has seen a lot of interest in franchising in the middle of the economic downturn. It's kind of an interesting time, he said. While unemployment is at an all-time high and interest in franchises is likewise spiking, it is very difficult for an individual who may have the $25,000 franchise fee to build out a location that might cost hundreds of thousands of dollars because they can't get a loan. Taking on a franchise business is different than starting your own mom-and-pop shop. With a franchise, you are taking someone else's concept and way of doing things. You get to buy into a system that has been tested. Someone has created a business. They perfected it. They put it into an operations manual, Harrison said. From the franchisor, you get a lot of the training and marketing support, national advertising campaign. You also get the benefit of having a brand that consumers are aware of. But finding the right franchise takes some care. First, the franchise should serve your needs and expectations, Klein said. If you're a mid-level executive at a corporation making $150,000 a year, and you want to leave that job to go into business or for yourself, and money is one of the driving factors, in purchasing a fast food restaurant that is not going to be able to throw off an income that is equivalent to what you are making can lead to problems, he said. You'll need a franchise where you can make money but also enjoy yourself. If you are allergic to dogs, don't go out and buy a doggy daycare franchise, he said. Makes a lot of sense, right?
That does make sense.
But we've talked about that, too. It's one thing owning a franchise. You've got to make sure you're happy overall and you're reviewing what type of hours you got to work. There's a whole lot involved with choosing a franchise. Just because you like something, we always use the example of, hey, I love Dunkin' Donuts, let me go buy one.
Right.
You have to look at all the behind-the-scenes factor and what ultimately is going to make you happy. You might be more the 9-to-5 type person, don't want to work weekends. a lot of franchises are food franchises. You got to be there on the weekends.
Doesn't work, and then there'll be a lot of frustration. It's and I think you're right, Don. I mean, again, the first step is to decide or find out if franchising is for you. If you are able to follow a system or a method of doing business, then you know what? Then from there you have 3,000 different choices broken into about, it's estimated, 75 to 80 different categories. And then within those categories are subcategories. So,
right.
Bottom line is it's a lot of work, and you have to do your homework. And the common theme on our show the last 2.5 years has been due diligence. That's the only way
right.
it could ever work. Otherwise, it's just you're leaving everything to chance, and you don't want that. So it's interesting.
It says here also, Marty, it's important to understand that not all franchises are equal. There is a misconception that all are the same in terms of how much operational support they can offer. That's a good point.
Right.
Too.
No, that's a good point. It's powerful. This is all in one article. This is
right.
Wow. It's give you a lot of great. You talk about referencing one source. It's a great article to
right.
just hold on to, because it does educate someone on franchising. But that's interesting.
He also says investing in a concept that is not fully baked or has no track record or has no experience in supporting franchises can be very dangerous, he said. Take the brand awareness of McDonald's. You can go to McDonald's in Red Bank, New Jersey, or you can go to McDonald's in Kansas, and the menu's the same. The food's the same. The customer experience is the same. Clients said they have taken away the unknown from the customer.
Mm-hmm.
Another misconception is that franchises or the quality of what they are selling guarantee success.
Right.
It may be the best sandwich you ever had, but it doesn't mean that owning that sandwich shop is going to be profitable, he said. A franchise takes away many decisions and freedoms that a typical business owner faces. The company chooses what furniture will fill the store, as well as its layout and decor. If it's a restaurant, the menu and how the food is prepared also is planned out. Franchises also can dictate when an operator has to remodel the store to bring it up to the company standards, Pearson said.
We saw that with KFC. I don't know if you remember. It was about
right.
6 months ago or a year where they forced their franchisees to say, look, it's time to update and modernize, and
right.
if you didn't do that, I don't know what the penalty was. But
I see that a lot in financing. It's been more popular the last few years where we're getting calls on people that need money to remodel. So they need some working capital.
Wow.
And the article basically ends, I'll read a little more. It says, franchises are not for true entrepreneurs because they are more of a manager than an independent business owner. Client said, you don't have the liberty to be creative when you own a franchise because all the rules are all set out for you, and you must follow the rules or run afoul of the rules of the franchise. We always talk about that, too.
Wow. It's a powerful line.
And talks more about Linda Chapman, said she chose to become a McDonald's operator because of the company's support for its restaurant owners. I can fail in my business, any business that I did, Chapman said. I know I could fail in this McDonald's business if I didn't do a good job, but I do know that McDonald's is going to train me, make sure that I know what I'm doing, and that I'll be successful. McDonald's is also collaborative, she said. They understand that in order for this to go, they need to have their franchisees in agreement with what they're doing.
Relationship. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so that's the flip side of it. The franchisor always wants to make sure they're only as good as their franchisees and the success of their whole system, and that the franchisee's happy making money. At the same time, they got to follow the system, and there's no shortcuts. It's not easy. Here's someone who owns a McDonald's. You think, how hard can it be? Own a bunch, let everybody manage it, but you got to be in there. You got to be overseeing things. No matter what franchise it is, you got to work hard.
Well, she's multi-unit, right? How many did they say that she actually owns? Do you remember?
She co-owns about 16.
Wow. Could you imagine? It's one of those Jim Rudolph stories, isn't it?
Right.
Owning 48 Wendy's, it really is incredible. And one of the things you have to remember, too, is something that the article said, is that all franchises are not created equal. There's a lot of truth behind that, isn't there? Just
right.
because, our guest last week said it, Tom, didn't he? He said, just because someone says that they're a franchise doesn't mean it's the equivalent to McDonald's, brand
right.
name. It depends, how powerful is that brand name as well, So
right.
Just a very well-written article. It's something I think that we should hold on to and actually even refer back to maybe in a couple months just to, go over some key points because that article is really that good. It seems to cover almost everything if you think about it.
Yeah, did cover a lot. Yeah,
a lot of territory.
Had some statistics. Had franchisee, franchisor, outside opinions of an attorney and an accountant. Here's something, Marty, from QSR Magazine. Try again. Our friend Chris Cheek, who we've had on the show, he's the Vice President of Franchise Development at Brugger's Enterprises, Brugger's Bakery.
Right.
Details what might keep a brand from greenlighting your next store. A question to him was, how do I convince my franchisor that I'm ready to open my next unit? And it starts out, if the franchisor is focused on the long-term health of the brand, it is going to make sure it makes a very proactive and thoughtful decision as franchisees move from location 1 to location 2. What you like to see is that the franchisee is very successful in the first one. It's a domino that leads to the second one. So again, this is Chris Cheek answering. He's the franchisor. He says, we typically know the things we need to know by the time a franchisee approaches us about a second location. Mm-hmm. Our field operations folks have visited. We're getting mystery shop scores. We have a number of different touch points from which to measure how that franchisee is doing as it relates to guest service, as it relates to financially how well the first unit is performing. We, like other franchisors, require quarterly financials from the franchisee. We require year-end financial statements and tax returns.
Right.
We want to make sure the franchisee is upholding the expectation of the covenant of our brand to the guest. Normally, if he or she is doing a good job at that, the financial performance should follow. The second thing we want to make sure of before we approve a franchisee's second location, that he isn't going to hurt himself financially. If the first one is not performing well, we don't want to pile on to the troubles by approving the second location, even though it might be a good location.
Or, I mean, there's always the case, too, where, the single unit is doing exceptionally well, and by getting the second one, I guess he can cannibalize himself because, I can't remember who the guest was as you're reading the article. It wasn't Chris when we had him on the show, Don, but talking about multi-units, going to that second unit, what a challenge that actually is, the woman that you're referencing, she owns all these different units of McDonald's. There's a whole, that's a whole different animal, isn't it? I mean, owning one versus owning 2 versus 3, it's,
at that point, you're working on the business, not in it.
Precisely. I mean, it's, and that's really what you want. I think that's always the goal. I don't know if it should just be the goal to, and again, it's probably some people's goals to just have the one unit and then maybe they're content. But I think, when you get into franchising, you and I talk about this a lot, is you want to look at the big picture, don't you? You want to aspire, I think, to get to the second unit, third unit, fourth unit, et cetera.
We should maybe talk to Lee about that, how they handle it, because most people these days want to come in, wanting to sign a 3-store deal, for example.
You mean initially?
But I guess it's up to the franchisors and the franchise agreement, what position they have to be in order to open up that second one. A lot of times you have to open up 2 or 3 by a certain time period, but I guess also, like what Chris says in this article, you got to have certain financial, certain profitability, have met certain guidelines to be able to make that next step.
It's a great topic for discussion, because I guess when someone does want to initially come in and be a multi-unit franchisee, I guess there's no track record, right? I mean, so, it's easier for the franchisor, at least they have a track record of this person. They say, okay, this person does exceptionally well, they follow the system, everything is there. But, when someone does want to come in and say, we want 5 units, it might scare me a bit, I guess, from the franchisor standpoint. But again, they know better than I do, if the franchisee or prospective franchisee can handle that. So
it goes on, Marty. Now, if the franchisee has the financial capacity and an understanding of why the first one is not performing as expected, there's a little bit of give and take. But the bottom line is the franchisor doesn't want to allow the franchisee to dig a deeper hole. Mm-hmm. We do let people know if they're not ready for number 2. Deep down, I think they are very appreciative that the franchisor is looking out for their interest by not allowing them to make an error that might harm them financially. The conversation when you have to tell a franchisee that is one I feel comfortable having, because I know that even if they don't recognize it right away, over time they realize, hey, I have a franchisor that really is doing what it can to make sure I don't get harmed and the brand doesn't get hurt by opening a unit than having to close it quickly. The benefit of working closely with your franchisor on the first location is that we then know where the weaknesses are. We know if your sales aren't as high as you need them to be, we've got to focus on how you market your bakery. In some cases, sales might be just fine, but you might not have control of your cost.
Right.
Your guest feedback and mystery shop scores might be low. That might mean an HR change on your management team. Your franchisor can usually tell you specifically what you need to address.
Interesting. That's a good article. I mean, that's a lot of great advice in segment 1. So
that's right. And let's be clear, Marty, I don't go over bad articles.
Yeah, there you go. You didn't write them either, right? Well, good job, Don. And again, hold on to those articles because I think I'd like to go back to some of them, right. in a couple months, okay. Especially that McDonald's one. And
right.
We'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Now.
Okay, you've got my attention.
It's a rare event in the world of franchising when an opportunity comes your way that can and will thrive in almost any economic environment. It's here, and its name is Big Mouth Advertising.
Big Mouth.
BMA is a leader in the exciting world of mobile media advertising. Why is mobile media advertising able to defy the economic cycles? The answer is obvious. In times of economic weakness, advertising is crucial for survival as the consumer dollar is scarce and the competition fierce. What is mobile media? It's the newest and fastest growing segment in the advertising world. Mobile media brings the message directly to the consumer. Mobile media goes to the consumer in traffic where he eats and where he plays. It quite simply cannot be turned off or thrown out. And when you join the Big Mouth team as a franchisee, you are joining the best. The Big Mouth advantage is simple and successful. We invest in a strong infrastructure and in great people. As a franchisee, you have access to this entire system, including telemarketing, sales maximization, general and administrative support, design and creative services, even billing and collection services. All you need is a mobile media vehicle, a driver, and the willingness to create a financially sound and limitless business for yourself. There are no long-term leases to sign, no expensive build-outs, no office personnel to hire. You will be part of the Big Mouth advertising community and share its entire website and reception services, as well as its complete back-office services. This virtual office guarantees you the freedom to close those sales that will make you a success. We are so proud of our successes that we have voluntarily disclosed our revenue statements. Now, how many other franchises are doing that? Even in these historically rough financial times, Big Mouth Advertising has become a dominant force in the mobile media industry. Join the Big Mouth team and take the first step toward financial freedom. Please call Ron at 888-98-GO-BIG. That's 888-98-GO-BIG. Big Mouth! Need a business loan? Talk to Diamond Financial Services, the experts in franchise financing nationwide. Whether you're looking to start a franchise, acquire an existing franchise, or expand your territory through opening new locations, Diamond Financial stands by your side start to finish. From pre-qualification to packaging and presenting your application to securing a financial commitment and through the loan closing process, Diamond Financial is there. While you're waiting, thousands of others are making their financial dreams come true. Don't wait any longer. Pre-qualify now by completing a confidential, no-obligation financial analysis. Let's face it, traditional banks just aren't in the business of financing small business. At Diamond Financial, we specialize in securing franchise loans from $100,000 to $3 million and equipment leasing up to $150,000. Let us help you get started. Go to www.franchisefunding.net or call 877-508-2274. That's franchisefunding.net, 877-508-2274.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the franchipreneur who owns one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott with my co-host Don Johnson. And if you've ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. And as we were saying earlier, Don, we have a great show today. We're meeting with Lee Knowlton, and Lee is new president and CEO of PIU Management, LLC, which is the parent company of Pump It Up and BounceU, which you and I are both very familiar with. Hey, Lee, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, guys. How are you doing?
Great today, Lee. Lee, joining us is my co-host, Don Johnson.
Hey, Don. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing great. We've spoken in the past, and as I was saying earlier, Lee, you have a real fun franchise. I had my twins just turned 5. We went to a local BounceU, and they just had a great time. It was a home run for us.
Well, hey, thanks for the business. We appreciate it, and it's an incredibly fun experience. You know, both obviously for the kids, but for parents alike. There's just so much to do in the stores. It's tremendous fun.
Yeah, it is. It's a wonderful concept. Lee, we always like to start off asking our guests where you're calling from this morning.
I'm in our home office here in Tempe, Arizona.
Oh, great. Okay, fantastic. And I saw your resume. It was quite long, so Don and I were both very impressed. What were you doing before joining PIU Management?
I was actually with Kahala Corp, which is the holding company of 12 different brands, which most people know, the Cold Stone Creamery, Blimpie, Taco Time brands. They were 12 different brands with about 3,700 stores, including about 300 internationally. So a very nice-sized company.
That's incredible.
Well, that was a lot of work there, Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say I was the chief operating officer of that, responsible for overall operations and marketing and training, both domestically and internationally.
That's great.
How about before that? I mean, did you have a background in franchising before you went to Kahala?
Yeah, one of my longer stints, I was with 11 years with the TGI Fridays group.
Wow.
And was both on the franchisor side and then the franchisee side.
Wow.
And also both domestically and internationally. I opened their first TGI Fridays in Seoul, Korea. Actually lived over there and opened the first couple Fridays in Korea, which was a great experience. Then I was with a NASCAR concept for 5 years, which was kind of a racing simulator experience, which was a lot of fun, very interactive, a lot like BounceU and Pump It Up. And was with them 5 years before I joined first Cold Stone and then Kahala, starting in 2003. So basically franchising all my life, either on the company side or on the franchisee side, and been in what I call the hospitality industry, which is really, restaurants or retail or entertainment, since I was 15. So over 30 years, a lot of fun.
Wow.
It's funny, Lee, how you've had that overall theme of being with some pretty fun concepts. Cold Stone, people eating ice cream.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big fan of Blimpie. I go there all the time locally, and now you're with the Pump It Up and BounceU, and even TJF Fridays is kind of a fun concept with what the employees get involved and what they do and sing the birthday songs and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely been a common theme there, because I think back when I was with Fridays, which was really in the 80s, it was really known as kind of the category leader as far as casual dining and the bartender flair and interacting with the customers a lot. And certainly in NASCAR was, very entertaining racing simulation, and Cold Stone, singing in the stores. And now with Pump It Up and BounceU, which is a very interactive experience, it's certainly what I've been attracted to and been fortunate to work with, such fun experiences. And honestly, that's kind of part of my makeup. I think it's really important to enjoy what you do and be passionate about your job. And both with BounceU and Pump It Up, I mean, how can you not have a fun time in the stores? And we have such great franchisees that it's been a joy. My first month here on the job. So,
tell us about the history a little bit of Pump It Up and then the recent acquisition and merger of the companies.
Yeah, Pump It Up was founded in 2000 up in Pleasanton, Northern California, and really started off, it's just that one of those great stories of a single store, opening up with this incredible experience, and then realizing that others enjoyed it as well, so slowly grew over the years and started franchising, I think, in its third year or so in 2003. And really found that many others shared this passion of offering these private birthday parties that can be all-inclusive for the parents and take stress off of them as far as having to plan everything or what's going on. and realizing we can do all that, but also that you could have your own private area, both to celebrate, the actual birthday, and then go into one of our arenas or stadiums where you can bounce around and have fun, with the focus being on the birthday child and their friends, versus in other areas you're kind of thrown into the masses usually, that you can go to a different venue and have a birthday party, but that you're amongst everybody else in the venue. So while there's maybe nothing wrong with that, we offer a much more private, fun experience that can focus on the child and all that. So it started with Pump It Up, and then BounceU started a couple years after that, and BounceU actually started in Gilbert, Arizona, and started to grow on a similar nature nationwide. And then middle of 2007 or so, the holding company, Pump It Up LLC, purchased BounceU and really brought the two together, kind of forming the kind of the largest really category leader in the inflatable indoor market. So we now have the two brands that are run separately. Both have dedicated operations, marketing, and PR, and we share some resources like accounting and legal between the two. But each brand is supported independently as far as their own operations and marketing, and we're focused on supporting them and growing both of them in the future.
And Lee, no business is, simple, of course, but really, myself being self-employed 19 years, when I go to a business I've never seen before, I'm kind of looking at the overall, structure and theme, but it seems like it's really, pretty simple overall. It has a few, a couple rooms where all the inflatables are, separate room, like you said, to actually have the food and birthday. I mean, it seems like a nice, tight, simple business, which I guess, was obviously why it was a very franchisable concept.
Yeah, it really is. We have great processes and systems as a franchisor as far as supporting, the franchisees, and I think we can tighten those up even more and provide even better support and programs to help the franchisees, grow their sales. But at the end of the day, it is, you can be very focused on attracting those folks looking to celebrate birthday parties, and then working with them and adding either some of the things, birthday cakes and pizzas or goodie bags, special touches to enhance that party. And then it really is just ensuring you have the right crew members, properly trained to ensure that those folks have a great time. And the overall operations certainly are a little more simplified versus the restaurant industry or maybe some retail experiences, which is nice. As a franchise, as a franchisee, then you can really focus on the customer and their experience, and not worry about 1,000 moving parts around you that some other businesses have within them.
That's a good point, Lee. I know, Marty, when Sharon was planning, we were planning the party, they take care of everything, from the goodie bags to planning everything, coordinating, we got pizza in for, and it was just real simple and nice, and it was a good experience. And our twins were all excited to wear their BounceU T-shirts to school the next day.
Right. We love that. And I think that's one of the big things. We have a couple things that are differentiated in our experience versus others, and certainly the one main one is the privacy aspect, that, again, the focus can really be on the birthday child and not amongst the masses. And then another one is that, we can really take kind of all the workload off the parent and allow the parent to have fun in the birthday party and or the other parents that come, and not have to deal with all the stress of the invitations and, who's cutting the cake or the pizza or who's doing what next. Or, we also offer where we'll help mark the gifts of who gave, Johnny what gift, and we can take those out to the car as well. And, the parents have really found that it's such a nice treat that they enjoy their birthdays more because they're not as stressed about all the details, or they're trying to do it at home, and they're having an inflatable brought to their house, and the stress of it all being set up right or wrong, and the weather, is it going to be good or not? And obviously in our stores, every day is a great day as far as weather-wise, and they know they're going to have a great time.
So how do you describe, you probably just did some of it, when you describe the franchise system to a potential franchisee, how do you sum that up, Lee?
As far as our system, we are the category leader as far as the indoor inflatable segment. We've got these one-of-a-kind indoor playgrounds that have all these custom inflatables, including some of our favorite ones, or customers' favorite ones, are the obstacle courses, the slides, the bounce houses. We've got these great party venues, again, that can be private. We really have a great staff trained by our franchisees that can help supervise, the food, the beverage, the setup, the clean services, all that we talked about.
Yeah.
And it's just a great overall entertainment, experience. So, that's it from the consumer side. I think, on the franchisee side, one, they're in the business of having fun, which is great. That you're in a very positive experience, throughout the day, and people are coming in expecting to have a good time and smiles on their faces, and I think that helps in the business as well. So our franchisees are focused more on the day-to-day operations, ensuring obviously everything is smooth, that they're networking with parents who attend parties, working in the local communities to work as far as fundraisers and specialty events, and our owners do a lot of charity events in their local communities, which is something that we're really proud of, and they're proud of giving back to the communities. So
right.
From a franchisee perspective, I think you're focused on that overall operations, being involved with the community, and ensuring, again, that, your guests have a great time.
Right, which is a big selling point, obviously.
Right.
Selling fun, most people are smiling.
Mm-hmm.
Your guest, so that's a good point.
Yeah, and another thing we've really been working on this year, and something I certainly want to keep driving, is while we are a great, birthday party destination, we have so much more to offer, and some programs that we've rolled out that are more traditionally Monday through Friday day, of things that are called jump and art, or pop and play, or things that are more like structured play offerings that you might find in a daycare or in a camp or something, where you can bring in a child or 2 or 3, or be part of a camp of 8 to 10 to 12, and you would come in our facility and maybe learn how to draw and do some art, and then bounce around for half an hour, and then come back and kind of go back to the art. And it's a nice little educational thing, that we offer for kids of all ages, so they can really come to our facilities, not just for a birthday, but for team building events that we offer for corporations, to what we call open bounce or pop and play, where if it's the summertime and your child's getting a little antsy in the house, you can stop by one of our stores, and maybe for $5 or $6 they can bounce around for an hour and let off a little steam. So it's a great activity for the child, especially in the summertime, if they're getting a little house fever or something, to get on out and have some fun, and it's fun for the parent as well. So I think that's a unique thing in the business that we're really stressing and focused on in the future, is while our core experience really is the private birthday parties, we have some other great structured programs that our franchisees can offer guests to help build their business as well.
That's fantastic. It's great exercise for the kids, too, Lee.
It's so healthy, too. I mean, it's
sure.
Great exercise. It's great relief, energy burner. And, it's fun in our stores to kind of watch when the parents get involved, and they bounce around, and they end up having a blast as well.
Oh,
yep.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. But one of the questions we've been asking recently on the show, Lee, is has technology played a role in your business, whether it's your internet or your intranet?
Oh, absolutely. From many different angles. Really, in the store as an operator, you're really involved with technology a lot, as far as our reservation system and booking parties, and that being tied into our point-of-sale system, so that obviously you know exactly which parties are coming in, and what areas are booked or not, what's available or not. Certainly, from a marketing perspective, it's a big play that we're always enhancing our website to ensure that we've got the latest information up, that if you're Google searching kids' birthday parties, that BounceU or Pump It Up is
right, you guys come up.
Popping up right at the top there.
Yeah.
So we're working a lot with a couple of search engine optimization folks to ensure we've got the right words and keywords in our websites to ensure that they pop up in those types of searches. Because I think, the average consumer today is certainly using the internet a lot more, especially for researching birthday parties and such. So we want to make sure that we're popping up front and center, and then when they go to our website, they can see the great packages and parties that we offer, and then the other programs, and that we have sites on Facebook and such that are really helping promote the brands as well. and just taking advantage of that technology. So it's certainly an integral part and will continue to be so moving forward.
That's great. Are there any numbers on the industry? I mean, I imagine it sounds like it's I guess in the billions.
As far as entertainment? Or,
yeah, I guess the children's industry.
Yeah, it certainly would be. I mean, it's such a broad category because I think if you're really looking at, we really focus on the private birthday parties,
right.
and the privacy aspect kind of, again, is a real differentiation in our experience. But if you look at overall the industry, I think you could roll in things like Chuck E. Cheese and bowling alleys and obviously other inflatables, indoor, outdoor, et cetera. So I'm sure, I haven't seen a number myself, but I'm sure it's a multi-billion-dollar business that between our two brands, we'll do $100 million in sales this year just between our two brands. So, and while we're the category leader, that there's certainly other players out there that you could kind of fold into this arena when it comes to celebrating children's birthdays.
That's fantastic. Lee, we have to take a quick break. Can you stick around for another segment?
Oh, absolutely.
That's fantastic. And we'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com. Franchise Interviews. For over 2 years now, Franchise Interviews has been giving you an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship.
Through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising.
And our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisors, franchisees, franchise authors, experts, and attorneys.
And our free franchise newsletter, which is a must-read for anyone looking to buy a franchise.
And don't forget to listen to our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919.
That's 610-905-2919.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the franchipreneur who owns one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, my co-host, Don Johnson, and if you've ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. We have a great show today. We're meeting with Lee Knowlton, who is the new president and CEO of PIU Management, LLC, the parent company, Pump It Up, and BounceU franchise brands, with a total of 220 locations nationwide. And Don, I think you're up.
Yeah, Lee, what types of characteristics do you look for in a franchisee?
I think we love that great balance of obviously passion, both for the experience but also for customer experience, past experience, and I like it kind of in that, again, customer experience world. So whether it's retail, restaurants, entertainment, so that they've been involved in some way or another, interacting with customers and employing young teenagers to young adults in a service industry, and then the financial ability to properly open the business, support the business, and grow it. So that combination of passion, experience, and financial, I think the more you can balance those three, the more likelihood, of the long-term success.
Right. In the first unit, we were talking about, there was an article about franchisees once they're ready for their second location, their second unit. How does your franchise handle that?
That's a great question. I think it's a really important step as well, because there's such a difference between owning and managing 1, 2, and then especially 3 and beyond. And that really passionate franchisee who's operating a business, when they take that next step, often find that it's challenging, and they're trying to go back and forth between the two, and it's really that third then that they realize, wow, they really need to work with their people then and develop their people to manage the stores because they can't physically be there anymore. So we're really making sure that the franchisee understands that scenario and change, and that they're prepared for it, both manpower-wise, that they've got the right store manager in their current existing store that can manage the business as they work on number 2 or 3, and that they've got the mindset, the correct mindset that they no longer can be involved day to day, and they kind of need to let go and empower their store manager again. And then financially, that they're set up and ready to support that second or third store. Again, not just getting it built, but supporting it long term and doing the things in the community you often need to do, and having the right marketing strategy that you need to have, and that they've really weighed all that out. And also we'll take a look at the location, obviously, of where they're at, and ensuring it's not only not too close to their first store, but maybe not too far, which could also meaning if it's 5 miles away, it's not 20, 30 miles away. So again, it can kind of put that strain on them of trying to manage 2 or 3 stores. They're geographically so far apart. So we would love to grow our brands with the same franchisees we have in the system today. And it's definitely a philosophy I have that, let's open more stores with less franchisees, just so that we can strengthen the relationship. And if they're passionate about the business and they want to open another, I want to make sure we're growing with them versus constantly, offering up other territories or growing with new franchisees. And you're going to have a balance there, of course, but I would certainly love to offer up first to our existing franchisees territories that are available, and then help them properly set it up for long-term success.
That's interesting.
And how's training for the franchisees? I imagine you have a great training program.
Yeah, we really do. It's a combination of both hands-on training that's here at our corporate office, where we walk them through all aspects of the business, from opening and operations, local store marketing, hiring, training, P&L, backgrounds, POS backgrounds on our systems, and then it transitions to on-site support, where we have a dedicated training team that will go out to their site and help them open that store and get them up and running, and help advise them on the hiring and the training and all the little things that come up during an opening, and make sure that not only our kind of field team is there for the support, but that they know that they've got our home office support as well to answer any questions that typically come up, like the construction questions or licensing or permitting or getting that first POS statements or system set up. So we have a really nice combination of both hands-on training here at our office, and then on-site support training when they open. And then after they open, of course, we're visiting them throughout the year to just make sure that the business is good and they're comfortable with it, and what questions do they have that we can answer to help them grow their business. Right.
Good.
What's a typical day like, Lee, for if there is such a thing, for your franchisees? Right. I mean, I guess each day is a little different depending on if it's a Monday or a Saturday. But
yeah, Saturday, Sundays tend to be obviously a little busier, and Friday nights. tend to be good nights for us as well, and whether it's either for birthdays or these special programs that we're offering, some of our franchisees are doing some real creative things with some glow-in-the-dark bounce parties where they actually turn off the lights on a Friday night and have glow-in-the-dark necklaces, and it's more for a teen thing. You know, teenagers can bounce around and have fun, and strobe lights and almost a disco bowling type of environment. So certainly every day is kind of a different day, but, you know, overall it's that basic operations and ensuring that everything is set up for the parties they have booked or the programs, that, again, they're being involved with the community and any charitable events or fundraising, especially school fundraising events. We're a great venue for that. And really focused on, you know, again, that customer experience side of it. I'm a big fan of, at the end of the day, you know, I think the consumers have changed their habits. They're more discriminating than ever. They're looking at where they're spending the money. So when they do decide to make that decision and book a party with us, you know, it should be the absolute best party it can be, because that word of mouth can obviously really drive your business. So that's something I've been talking about with our community and emphasizing at the end of the day, you know, that overall what I would always historically called the operational excellence really counts, and that every customer that comes in should just have a spectacular time. And fortunately, we've got a lot of great franchisees out there that are delivering it, but I've just stressed that, you know, today's world, it's every single customer counts. So when they've booked a party with us, we should make sure the party room's ready, it's laid out, all the special things are there, the crew members are all over them and ensuring they have a great time. They're bouncing around, having a blast, and we're wrapping that up all the way to taking the gifts out to the car for them and thanking them for their business and having a great time. And as a franchisee, you know, that's such a positive experience that, you know, I think they've all said they love it when they see the smiles on people's faces and know that they're coming back. And that's the real makeup of the day. There's always the basics behind the scenes of, you know, the accounting and the payroll and all that, but at the end of the day, it's really focused on the customers that are coming in.
We're big fans, of course, and sometimes when you go plan a kids' party, sometimes there's not as many options as you think. It's great to have your concepts as options to go to the kids' parties. And I guess with the way the economy is, I guess it's been good for the franchisee with leasing space. And you don't always have to be in those prime locations, which is pretty good. But I guess the franchisees have been getting some pretty good deals.
Yeah, they have. You know, our spaces are definitely bigger than most. You know, we're around 10,000 square feet total. So, you know, we're not really looking for those power centers and shopping malls because, you know, they really wouldn't have the space. And since we are more of a destination type place, you know, we can kind of go in more of a B type location versus an A because, again, we don't need the drive-by traffic since we're a destination place. And that allows us to have some leverage, so certainly with landlords that we're taking a bigger space and maybe going to an area not everybody's looking at. And then in today's times, you know, the landlords are very open, very willing to work, especially with national brands and ones like ours that are so positive and so fun, you know, to really put together the right type of deal that it's everybody's interest, you know, long term. So we've certainly seen that, you know, over the last year or two as far as landlords realizing that if you've got a real nice national brand and a good presence, you know, you should do your best to work with them to ensure that they get the right type of deal that'll ensure they stay around for years to come, and it really works for both sides.
That's true. You've been involved in franchising a long time, Lee. What advice would you give to our listeners, aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise?
You know, I think you really want to do your research. I think you should do something that you're passionate about, you know, that you personally enjoy or feel that you can have some passion, you know, behind. You know, make sure you check out that franchisor, that, you know, what are their training systems, their support, what's their history, where are they at in the category. So a lot of business opportunities available out there, but, you know, are they all going to be around a year from now or 2 years from now or 3 years from now? And you know, we certainly are going to be. But, you know, really doing that research and going to very different stores, talking to different franchisees. I think I've always encouraged any new franchisee that's come in and, you know, what are you guys all about? I would tell them, obviously, our philosophy, but then I would say call our franchisees, you know, and talk to them and talk about, you know, how's their overall business day to day? How do they feel? How do they feel about the franchisor and their support? Because, at the end of the day, that's what really counts is what our franchisees say about us as a franchisor, and really encourage them, to do that research, because that's where they'll really flesh out the issues. And I always encourage all franchisees, spend a lot of time in that concept, in the business, talking to the franchisee, because that's what you're going to be doing. And don't get sold if somebody's trying to tell you, oh, it's incredible sales, it's a piece of cake, and you'll make lots of money. Very few businesses are like that. So you really want to make sure that you understand the business and what you're getting into, the commitment needed, the financial resources are there, you're passionate about the business, and you feel good about the franchisor. So it's all in the homework, and anybody interested in a Pump It Up and BounceU, I'd say exactly the same thing, and I'd be confident, we'd offer great support and services for our franchisees and such a great time. So I encourage them to do their homework, that's for sure.
That's well
Great
said.
advice, yeah.
Yeah. What's the best way our listeners can get more information on becoming a franchisee, Lee? Any website that they can go to?
Yeah, certainly go into either one of our websites at Pump It Up. It's pumpitupparty.com. Okay. And for BounceU, it's bounce and then the letter U.com. And it's got all the information on there. You can click on About Bounce or Own a Bounce or About Pump It Up, and we have all the information listed.
That's fantastic. And I want to thank you again, Lee. You've been an incredible guest, and we'd love to have you back in the near future.
Yeah, anytime. My pleasure. Thanks a lot for the time, guys.
Thanks so much, Lee. Have a great day today.
All right, you too.
Great concept, huh, Tom?
Yeah.
Now, it's just, again, we're fans as it was,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a great, concept that's easily franchisable, as you were saying,
Right.
It's very easy to duplicate, So, great job. So for our listeners, go to franchiseinterviews.com, go to gofranchise.com, franchisefunding.net, and I'll be talking to you next week, won't I, Don?
Definitely. Another
good
show.
job, Don.
Great shows lined up. We'll just keep going.
Great job.
Take care,
Take
Marty.
care, Don.
Bye-bye.